not legal until 6 o'clock, so. The time is 6 p.m. and the regular meeting of the City Council of Denison, Texas is now in session. Our invocation tonight will be given by Councilmember Obie Greenleaf.
Let us pray. Most gracious Father, the Father in whom we live, move, and have our being. Father, we come this evening with bowed heads and humble hearts. We come thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Father, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for our mountains. We thank you for our valleys. Now, Father, we ask that you bless this time that we will spend together. May the decisions we make this evening be in the best interest of the city of Denison and pleasing in your sight. Father, we pray for the sick and shed in, the bereaved and the incarcerated. Father, just let them know that you're on prayer away. Now, Father, we pray for the leaders of our nation. Just lead, guide, and direct them in the way that you would have them to go. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Item 3 on our agenda is new tonight. Public comments. Citizens may speak on any item that is listed on the agenda. In order to speak, a request to speak card must be filled out and returned to the city clerk before we reach the public comments section. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and must address items that are on the agenda. Citizens will be heard, but there will be no dialogue between the citizen and the council. Comments related to public hearings that are listed on the agenda will be heard when that specific agenda item is presented. Do you have any cards? I do not have any cards. Okay. We'll move on to item 4, the consent agenda.
Mayor, we skipped number 2.
Oh.
Unforgettable.
I was so excited about the public comments that I just skipped right over it, didn't I? Okay. Chief Gudgel, I'm sorry. We have a very special appreciation award tonight that's going to be presented by Chief Gudgel.
Yeah,
I apologize,
That's okay.
sir.
Thank you. Can I get Ranger Oliver up here? Don't know if anybody or everybody knows Ranger Oliver, but he works consistently with us. I've been here about 2 months, and I've seen him so many times, and I'm glad to have seen him on several of those occasions. Ranger Oliver's largely responsible, if you remember, in 2017, we had the murder of a 5-year-old child. Here recently, the last suspect in that horrible homicide was captured and brought back to Grayson County, and a large part of that was due to Ranger Oliver. Shortly thereafter, again, only being here 2 months, we had an officer-involved shooting. Before I was able to get there, Ranger Oliver was there and assisted us in that. The suspect's in custody, hopefully indicted or indicted soon. So a big help to us. He worked through the night. I think he even had some training the next day. So we really appreciate him and want to recognize him. His lieutenant and major are here. Thank y'all for being here. But it's a big deal for us to have him here. He's a humble guy, so he doesn't like this kind of stuff, so that's why we did it to him. But we're really excited to have him here tonight, and we want to be able to recognize him, not only as the police department, but the citizens of Denison, the service that he gives the citizens of Denison. So thank you. You got something?
Yeah, I've had the privilege of working with Brad for the last several years, and I was appointed to lieutenant of CID in 2016, and I cannot count the number of hours this man has came and helped in several investigations. He's been a mentor to all of us here in the city of Denison, and I know he has been all over the state, so I just really appreciate it.
I'd like to read this in recognition of outstanding dedication to public safety, honoring Brad Oliver, Texas Ranger Company B. With great appreciation of your commitment to the safety of our community. Thank you for going above and beyond serving the citizens of Denison.
Thank you, Chief, very much.
You bet.
I appreciate it. I appreciate this very much.
You bet.
I can't even express to you how much I enjoy working with this agency. Y'all have some of the finest police officers around, command staff, to all one of the other detectives. Everything that the chief talked about, everything that I may have helped on, there's been a Denison detective standing right there with me, working day and night. So I think the citizens should be very proud of the police department and what the men and women of Denison Police Department. And I'll close real quick. I want to recognize my wife. She and I have been married 20 years, and for the last 20 years, she's pretty much been by herself. So she's had to raise our 2 kids the last 17 years by herself. And I appreciate my command staff coming here. So thank you
Thank
again.
you. We
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
you.
I appreciate you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ranger Oliver, on behalf of the city council and our entire community, we want to thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Got you a pretty case.
I like that. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Now, we're going to move on to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There is a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Adams and a second by Councilmember Spiegel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Item 5A, receive a report, hold a discussion, and conduct a public hearing to receive testimony from the Code Compliance Manager on the unsafe condition of the posted structure at 321 East Chestnut and take action. Mr. Lay.
Very good. Mayor and council, good evening. On August 7th, 2019, Michael Palmer, Lisa Palmer, HBK Grantor Trust Series 3, Schwartz and Burrow Incorporated, Walter Acquisition, and Green Tree Servicing were given notice to repair or demolish the structure at 321 East Chestnut. The owners have failed to comply with the notice. This structure is unsafe in accordance with Chapter 13, Article 5, Section 13-160, H, N, and O of the Denison Code of Ordinance. There has been no active water service at the structure since March 20, 2014. Taxes have not been paid since 2014. A total of $2,371.87 are currently owed in taxes. The structure is an attractive nuisance. The structure is not weather-tight. The structure is not fit for occupancy. A record of the violations, notices, and unsafe condition of the property are on file in the Code Compliance Office. Staff is requesting council to declare the structure unsafe and order its removal. Any questions?
Questions for Mr. Lay? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of this agenda item? There being none, the public hearing is closed. Further discussion from council? A motion.
Mayor, I move to declare the structure at 321 East Chestnut a nuisance and unsafe, to order demolition and removal of the structure, including concrete slab, removal of any accessory building, fences and rubbish on the property, and removal of any vehicles.
Second.
There is a motion by Councilmember Hander and a second by Councilmember Greenleaf. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5B, receive a report, hold a discussion, and conduct a public hearing to receive testimony from the Code Compliance manager on the unsafe condition of the posted structure at 408 North Houston and take action. Mr. Lay.
Okay, on August 20, 2019, Arietta Earnhardt, Samuel Woods, Layla Mae Woods were given notice of violation to repair or demolish the structure at 408 North Houston. The owner has failed to comply with the notice. The structure is unsafe in accordance with Chapter 13, Article 5, Section 13-160 E and H of the Denison Code of Ordinances. Taxes have not been paid since prior to 2012. A total of $672.73 are currently owed in taxes. The structure is an attractive nuisance. And as you can see from the picture, a tree has fell on the building and it's caused extensive damage. A record of the violations, notices, and unsafe condition of the property are on file in the Code Compliance Office. Staff is requesting council to declare the structure unsafe and order its removal. Any questions?
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of this agenda item? There being none, the public hearing is closed. Further discussion from council? A motion.
Mayor, I move to declare the structure at 408 North Houston a nuisance and unsafe, to order demolition and removal of the structure, including concrete slab, removal of any accessory building, fences, and rubbish on the property, and removal of any vehicle.
Second.
There is a motion by Councilmember Greenleaf and a second by Councilmember Spiegel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Item 5C, receive a report, hold a discussion, and conduct a public hearing to receive testimony from the Code Compliance Manager on the unsafe condition of the posted structure at 410 North Houston and take action. Mr. Lay.
So the accessory building in the previous public hearing was actually part of this house, but it did have a different address and a different property ID, so we had to do a separate public hearing on it. So on August 21st, 2019, William B. Earnhardt Estate, Arietta Earnhardt, W. Bobby Earnhardt, and Bank One Texas were given notice of violation to repair or demolish the structure at 410 North Houston. The owner has failed to comply with the notice. The structure is unsafe in accordance with Chapter 13, Article 5, Section 13-160 H, N, and O of the Denison Code of Ordinances. There has been no active water service at the structure since December 10, 2015. Taxes have not been paid since 2015. A total of $2,805.93 are currently owed in taxes. The structure is an attractive nuisance. The structure is not weather-tight. The structure is not fit for occupancy. A record of the violations, notices, and unsafe condition of the property are on file in the Code Compliance Office. Staff is requesting council to declare the structure unsafe and order its removal.
Questions for Mr. Lay? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of this agenda item? There being none, the public hearing is closed. Further discussion? A motion.
Mayor, I move to declare the structure at 410 North Houston a nuisance and unsafe, to order demolition and the removal of the structure, including concrete slab, removal of any accessory building, fences, rubbish on the property, and removal of any vehicles.
Second.
There is a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Adams and a second by Councilmember Greenleaf. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Lay. Item 5D, receive a report, hold a discussion, and conduct a public hearing on the adoption of the fiscal year 2020 budget. Ms. Wagner.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Truth in Taxation Rules and Local Government Code mandate a governmental unit publish the proposed operating budget and hold a public hearing on the proposed budget. We also have to publish a notice in the newspaper, and that occurred as well in August. The public hearing is being held tonight, 6 p.m. in the council chambers at 300 West Main. And we're going to go over a little bit of the budget here and before we actually move forward with the hearing, if that's okay with you. Okay. I'll give you a little detail. So what we're looking at. And the budget is on the website, and it is in the city clerk's office as required. Okay, we're going to start out with the general fund budget update. Kind of gives you what the budget was for 2019. Started at 5.3 million, and the budget was set to end at just about $3,800 or $3,200 more than that. Our projected right now is to come in at 5.1 million. That's expenditures over revenues by about 252,000. A large majority of this, if you'll recall, in the fall, after we close out the year, we have what's called budget appropriations, and that's moving money that didn't get spent over here for certain projects we move to the next budget. So about 175,000 of that's going to be budget appropriations. We had some public safety software that we moved from last year's budget, 18's budget to 19's budget. We had West End remodels, some design costs. We had some fleet facility fencing. And then I know you may recall, I believe it might have been in January sometime, we had a budget amendment for fleet, for apparatus, for fire apparatus that was having repairs. We had a lot of vehicles that have been down over the last 12 months, and so that's going to be a large portion of that expenditures over revenues for general fund. Proposed for 2020, anticipating still being around the 5.1 million mark at 70 days of reserve. So we're still in good shape there. These numbers will fluctuate between now and the 16th. I'll present new numbers again on the 16th, and of course then you'll get your update at the end of the close, which will be around mid-October. Sales tax, we're watching closely, so buy Denison, I say this every meeting, Judge laughs, but buy Denison, sales tax is very important for us, especially on the general fund side. Utility fund. Once again, same information. I do want to mention, though, let me go back real quick, I'm sorry. On the transfers out, the transfer in the aquatic fund fee, that's the $260,000 to help offset the expenses for the pool. The transfers out, street improvement fund and general capital fund, I believe it was, I had this up earlier, $740,000 of that $1 million proposed for 2020 is going to go into our street improvement fund. So I wanted to mention that, and that captures that $275,000, I believe it was, of the difference in the rate that we talked about. So that's part of that $1 million transfer is going to street improvements, and that's $740,000 to streets. So I did want to mention that. Okay, utility fund, budget, once again, 1.9 million. We started with, end with 60 days of reserve, projected to be in a similar position with our utility fund, and a lot of that's going to depend on our August sales of water, and that will be coming in. We'll be billing for that the month of September, and so those numbers could change, the revenues numbers could change. Based on September 16th meeting, you'll get an update, and then you'll get an update, of course, for year end once we get those final numbers in. Proposed for 2020, slightly over, ending balance over 2 million, which puts us 61 days of reserve, and that's our minimum. So we want to make sure we stay within that, and of course, staff is aware. Judd and I had these conversations, and we make DLT aware of these conversations often. Transfers out, we do transfer out to the street improvement from here as well, and the amount coming from utility fund is $205,000 that goes into streets on top of that $740,000. So almost $1 million will go into street improvement fund in 2020. The other transfers that take place out of general fund and utility fund go into the capital funds. And so what we do for general capital fund is take 5% of sales tax and set it aside for capital purchases. And we're going to talk a little bit in a minute about what those purchases are going to look like. But our balance can fluctuate here. We have no minimum or maximum. This is transferring money over to purchase capital. And so we only use what we have in there. And so we're anticipating spending about $360,000 on capital purchases in 2020 and leave a balance around $32,000. And once again, that's 5% of sales tax. So we're anticipating, based on what we budgeted for revenue for sales tax for 2020, to be about $313,000 that will transfer over from the general fund. Same concept for the utility capital fund. And we take 5% of water sales and move over for capital purchases. And for 2020, we're proposing that'll be close to $400,000. And our capital purchases will be around $700,000, and that's going to be based on, we have a new building we're building out there. We actually had approved that for 2019. If you recall, there was a building for lab and some different things out at the water plant. And so those expenses were not going to be completed this year, so we've moved those to 2020. Major capital expenses, so kind of where those funds are going to be going to that we spoke about over the last two slides. We have our next gen 911 upgrades that we're going to be starting in 2020, next log audio recording system upgrades. Along with that, we have a phone server, phone upgrades to VoIP for public safety so that we can move to this next gen 911. Elevator remodel and upgrade at City Hall, so hopefully that will be in working order 24/7. Those of you that have experienced getting stuck on that, it's no fun. ADA doors at City Hall here at the front. A new street sign shop building for them to make our street signs in. They have a kind of a temporary housing right now, and so we're excited for them. City Works inventory program, and all of these things that I just mentioned will be paid out of that general capital fund that takes the 5% of sales tax. Your utility capital fund, the large purchases there. We have a 4-door crew truck with utility bed and trailer. We have road repairs to both the lift stations at Duck Creek and Iron Ore pump stations, and NTRA wet well repairs. And then in the general fund itself and the utility fund, not the actual capital funds, but we still have the enterprise fleet management program, and we're in our second year, and we're going to be replacing 15 vehicles. So you've probably noticed a lot of those driving around town, new ones. Looks very nice. Super proud for our staff and for the city. Okay, budget update for bond debt issuances for 2020. This is what we're anticipating to issue this next year in bonds. And we've talked about the street improvements, the $6.7 million in street improvements. We're going to fund that through street improvement funds. We were talking about the funds that are there and moving the money over. A portion of that will be used to pay for those bonds. Design work, of course, will come first. D3 Phase 1, that is going to be your downtown improvements, and $10 million estimated. And we'll fund that through the TERS, where we set aside that money within that special fund. Water sewer CIP, approximately $7 million that we will fund through the water and sewer rates that we're implementing. Fire station number 2, west remodel, will be approximately $1 million. We're starting with the asbestos abatement and those kind of things, starting here fresh, moving forward with those. And I'm looking at funding both the fire station and the fire apparatus ladder truck, which should be completed between January and March of 2020. What I have decided to do with those, the funding for the fire station and fire apparatus, is to fund those or to issue bonds for those in January. The funding would be in February. Now, we will have some expenses for the fire station prior to that, but we will do a reimbursing resolution for those to pay ourselves back. And so those would be paid through COs, those two items. That's a total of $26.1 million is what we're anticipating for bond debt issuances for fiscal year 2020. And all of that would take place in the spring. Do you want me to continue, or did you want to talk personnel?
questions from council? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of this agenda item? There being none, the public hearing is closed. No actions required, so
No. And I do need to state that the budget is set to be adopted September 16th in the council chambers here at 300 West Main at 6 PM.
okay. Thank you, Renee.
You're welcome.
Item 5E, receive a report, hold a discussion, and conduct second public hearing on the proposed tax rate. Mr. Rex.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We held a public hearing at the last meeting on August 19th. This is the second public hearing that's required for our proposed tax rate for 2020. I'll run through a similar presentation as we did last time, but I did want to point out that we have a great website set up for lots of information about our property tax rate. So for any citizens that are interested in more details and analysis, with the help of Sunny and Renee
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of this agenda item? There being none, the public hearing is closed, and this item does not require action. Item 6A, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on the proposed Denison Development Alliance fiscal year 2020 budget. Mr. Ms. Wagner.
The DDA budget, or Denison Development Alliance budget, has been prepared with notes attached to summarize each income and expense item. The budget was prepared by DDA staff with board guidance. Mr. Tony Kai.
Wow, that's the first time that's ever happened in 19 years. Thank you. I enjoyed that. Mayor and council members, good evening. First, I want to say, on behalf of the DDA board and the staff, how much we appreciate the opportunity to serve you and this committee and this community and the citizens of this community. Again, I've been here 19 years, and we've done a lot of great things together, and hopefully we've got some great things ahead of us. So we've prepared the budget. It's been approved by the board. Again, all the items are itemized, line items, so I would be open to answering any questions. I thought I'd just hit a couple of things that we raised some numbers on compared to the last year, and those are all highlighted. But a couple of things that we've added to this year's budget that we haven't in the past is we're continuing to work on the potential acquisition of the John Mansville property and or the W.J. Smith property. So that's been in the works for 20 years, 20 plus years. So maybe we're getting closer, maybe we're not, but if we do get closer to that, we're going to have some environmental studies that's going to have to be done and some legal work to protect the city. So we've budgeted for that. Whether we use that money or not, it's unknown, but that's in there. We have a 3% raise for the staff. And, it leaves us with about $2.8 million going forward to do projects with. We've changed a couple of things in the marketing budget. We usually probably spend about 50% of what we budget in the marketing budget. But this year under advertising, we're working with CVB and Main Street to maybe partner with them to do some significant marketing about Denison in general, not just specifically industrial recruitment. So those are some of the highlights. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Questions for Mr. Kai? All right.
Thank you.
Sir. If there are no questions, a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the Denison Development Alliance fiscal year 2020 budget as presented.
Second.
There was a motion from Councilmember Hander and a second from Councilmember Doty. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. The time is 6:35. Pursuant to Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, the council reserves the right to convene an executive session from time to time to deem necessary during this meeting to receive legal advice from its attorney on any posted agenda item as permitted by law, or to discuss the following: consult with attorney on a matter in which the attorney's duty to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct conflicts with the chapter, and or consult with attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or contemplated settlement of service, section 551.071. Confer with attorney and discuss Senate Bill 944 and Senate Bill 1640 of the 86th legislative session. Deliberations regarding economic development negotiations pursuant to section 551.087, update by Denison Development Alliance on pending negotiations and projects. The council is now in executive session. The time is 6:52 and the council returns to regular session. Confer with attorney and discuss Senate Bill 944 and Senate Bill 1640 of the 86th legislative session. No action taken. Update by Denison Development Alliance on pending negotiations and projects. No action taken. The time is 6:53, and with there to be no more business to come before this body, we are adjourned.